Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world of ours, and welcome to the exciting installment of Memories of the Cherry Blossom Throne. This evening's scene takes place in the House of Blessed Respite, a noted venue wherein the midnight aristocracy, the alabaster-faced nobility, can meet to conduct private conversations away from prying eyes, located just outside the Hejimi City Graveyard in the Nobles' Quarter. The building itself is large and spacious, well appointed, and beautifully ornate. And inside, those whom are, as I said, the undead aristocracy can have their fill, drink the evening away, and converse with one another. We will join them this evening as they share one another's libacious company.
Akita enters the space with a rather how to put it, stern, slightly aggressive posture. Dressed very plainly, as in his overlay. Very, very humble, perhaps, or simply uninspired. I'm also going to roll to see if he actually has his eye out. That's what my stamina specialty should have been. Keeping your eyes shut. Okay, yeah, no, his eye's fine. He has it. It is. It's not particularly visible on his head.
On the side note, for Evie, that is of course Famoshi's Chalder. He has two Chalder. He does have another one, but the other one will come into play when they come into play. You are the younger of the two Chalder, Bishop, for the record.
Okay.
We'll do the intros then. So, in that case, Terry, you are up next. Come in with your jars of blood.
Alright, so Chica comes in. He's dressed like the picture, kind of looks like he just sort of wandered in. Dirty, big hat, which is super helpful in the rain. Has a jar underneath his arm. Just kind of walks in, looks around. If you're from the city or have been in the city, you probably know at least of him. He's just a weird guy that hangs out in the graveyard all the time. Just kind of looks around and nods, but doesn't really say a whole lot.
For the record, when you all enter, there's a woman who stands off to the side in a beautiful silk kimono. Not a single hair is out of place. It doesn't matter how disheveled you look. She still bows with the greatest respect and reverence and welcomes you very politely as great lords to the house.
He'll bow to her.
There is a handful of... there's nobody really in the common room at the moment in time. It's still relatively early in the evening, and the music has just started to play. You hear the sound of the sambe drums and the soft, lacquerous lyre of the flute play. It's rather peaceful and calming. Next up, we will have Lord Bato.
Lord Bato will be... having got down from his horse and taken off basically the Japanese equivalent of a cloak, has got an umbrella unfurled. One of his retainers is carrying it, and he'll enter in. As he's politely welcomed, he'll politely thank for being welcomed in, and he will probably find himself a nice quiet corner and just enjoy the music.
As you enter, a voice, the lady will say, Lord Bato, you are expected. Your guest will be arriving shortly, or rather, you are to be the guest of the Great Lord this evening. He is expecting you.
Oh, Thank you very much for the information. I shall wait here until I'm summoned.
Excellent. Can we provide you with refreshments, my lord?
I took the liberty of coming well fed, so no thank you.
As you like, my lord. Evie, you're up next.
Evie will come in. She has an umbrella because not only is it, raining, but her skin is also very, very sensitive to the light. So she will close the umbrella as she comes in and shake off some of the water outside the door. And when she sees Okita, she will go over to him because, that is the childer of her husband.
Oh. Akita notices you. He doesn't really move from his spot. He'll just give you a bow.
Which she will return. Good evening, Okita.
Lady Evelyn-san, I hope you're well.
Weather's rather nasty, but otherwise okay.
What was the weather like again out of character?
The sheets of rain are coming down very, very hard. They're very, very that they're drenching the city. It's rather unseasonable rain, but then again, nothing too peculiar, if that makes sense. But it's a very severe, very cold shower.
That's why I'm inside.
Yes.
It is at this moment that it is at this moment that a pair of double doors that seem to lead to the private rooms will open. And you see the figure stepping out. There were two female attendants who step out with him. He is dressed in a fine black kimono that hugs his person rather well. He has two swords that are on his hip, both of which are inlaid with beautiful ivory pommeled handles. The blades themselves expertly crafted, and he has a red mask on his face in the form of a leering pony. He walks with a very kind of languid grace. For the record, anyone here who's been in the city for any period of time, he is on the notable NPCs list. This is the individual who goes by the name Hattori Hanzo, the most senior representative of Clan Nosferatu, though no one is exactly sure how old he is. And he is he's a power player, but the interesting thing is he has never made any direct power moves. No one knows which side he is on, or if he is on anybody's side, or if he is on his own side. But he will walk in the vague direction of the group. He waves away his attendants, who bow to him before retreating back to their work. They're not his servants; they're the servants of the house. But as he is such an august personage, they see to his wants and his needs while he is here. As he passes, he's making a line towards where Lord Shimazu is standing, but he will stop. And he will look Okita up and down before he will offer him a very, very, very shallow bow.
Well, at least he bowed. A slightly more significant bow will be returned.
I hope that your august father is well.
Yes, he is quite busy these nights. But yes, he is quite well, thank you.
Not many individuals would have stood as boldly against the rather sudden hostility that he faced. I must say that I am impressed with the fortitude shown and the matter-of-factness of the clan Salubri in this matter. When he talks, he doesn't talk above a whisper, but you do, even with, unless you're actively using aspects, you do have to struggle to hear him.
Hmm. If you wish, I can pass on your compliments to him.
I would be most grateful if you would be so kind. Ah, Lady Evelyn. He will bow. Once again, very, very shallow bow. The shallowness of the bow, if you've got above etiquette 1, he knows that he is higher station, so he does not do a very, very deep bow. It's a form of showing, I know I am superior, but I am still showing you respect.
She will return his bow and give him a pleasant smile. Good evening.
One hopes that you are well this evening.
Aside from the rather torrential rain outside, I'm quite well.
Ah, yes. One moment, please. Lord Shimazu. Once again, it's interesting. He doesn't talk above a whisper. However, Bato, you can hear him quite well, despite the fact he did not shout, and it's quite a large room.
He will take a few steps towards Hattori Hanzo and give him the full bow, which is expected from somebody who is clearly his senior and better.
One hopes, in your case, that your august grandfather is most well.
When last I read, he seemed to be in quite good spirits. Thank you very much for asking.
I am pleased. Once again, extend him my compliments.
I surely will do that. Thank you, Lord Hanzo.
As a matter of fact, there was another individual here. The masked head turns to the hat wearer. I have a question for both of you. If you would be so kind as to answer me.
Talking to me.
Yes, I am.
He'll bow to him. What can
Once
I do
again,
for you?
There was the whisper of a bow, and he will look between the two of them, and he was like, I am led to understand that recently you both attended a rather unfortunate celebration at the home of the Lady of 1,000 Masks.
I did indeed.
I see. I am led to understand that a certain individual whom has been banished from this domain for quite some time made his appearance felt there again. Lord Saido.
He did.
That is indeed true.
My question is not what Lord Saido said. I already know that. I've heard from a dozen different lips, have spoken to me a dozen different times. That's what I'm interested in. No. I'm interested in, how would I phrase this? The taste of the man. The feeling that you got. Did you believe that he was earnest in what he said to be true?
Likes to make an entrance. I've not been inclined to trust him for a long time.
I must confess I'm not as experienced as many other kindred in this august halls. But what my instincts were telling me, what he was saying seemed to line up with what I was experiencing.
Oh, I should perhaps give more. My apologies. I do not mean to exclude my two other conversation guests from the line of topic. Lord Bartow, would you please enlighten them as to the events at this party from your perspective, if you would be so kind?
It happened to be a moon viewing ceremony which we had been so graciously invited to. And towards the second half of the event, suddenly an area started flickering with green fire, something I'd never seen before. After which the individual who introduced himself as the Amma King appeared and gave his ominous prophecy. What else was there? What else was there? And he's scratching his head and obviously trying to remember as many details as he can. The individual was robed quite richly, was wearing a mask which, at least from its outside appearance, seemed to coincide with what I'd heard in tales, and also had a white hair, and the whole demeanor of this individual seemed earnest enough. He was very insistent on the fact that, well, he insisted on the fact that he wasn't the cause of the coming catastrophe which he spoke about, but he also let know that those who would, his words, submit to him, that if enough did that, he would endeavor to stop whatever calamity he prophesied would be coming to us.
A doomsayer whom opts or speaks about averting the doom that he prophesizes.
Yes, very unusual, I must say.
It's not that unusual.
For me, at the very least.
And now the Bruja and the Ventru gather their armies. I am led to understand that issues of letters have been sent from their puppets in the form of the Toyotomi and the Tokugawa, and that they are gathering their armies for war. For Kyoto. Well, by proxy anyway.
Yes, a most troubling development.
And yet this is your clan city, he says, looking towards the Salubri. Are your clan merely going to sit by and allow this city to be a pawn of two other clans?
If the other clans see fit to ignore us in their games for power, they are free to do so, at their own peril.
This individual, I'm led to understand, Sokanimano, what is the word that is used in the West? The bastardization of the blood, the Tremere, that is the word. I'm led to understand that recently, when your august father had to claim the title of regent to the throne, they had summoned a Tremere. The Ventru had summoned a Tremere to break free the sword, Butterfly Cutter, the sacred sword of the Kaze no Kage, the Shadow Emperor, from its sheath. To break its enchantment, they summoned a Tremere to do so. I'm curious how that makes one of your blood feel in this coming conflict?
Any Tremere that dares to approach this domain will find itself ash on the wind.
Very forthright. Very forthright indeed.
It
All
is.
right, I'm going to pause. Sorry, I was going to say, I'm just going to pause for a moment. How's it going, Saskia? Hi!
Hi. I think I have a stable connection now.
All right.
I hope.
Okay, so Saskia, I will do some narration for you. Your boat arrived in the port city of Nagasaki. Ironically, there were quite a few La Sombra there who were more than happy to help you in terms of giving you information and giving you information and giving you what little help was necessarily needed for you to reach Kyoto. One of them, a rather jolly man who appeared to be some kind of sailing captain. You never really caught the name. He wasn't forthcoming with it anyway. You found him in a tavern in the Nagasaki docks in what has become known as the Dutch Quarter. He informed you, the Portuguese Quarter. He informed you that when you arrived in Kyoto, to go to the inn. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
And am I going to do it again? No, maybe. No. Okay. Inn of Blessed Respite. They told you to go to the Inn of Blessed Respite. It is near the large Huanaki cemetery in the Nobles Quarter, and they said that there you would be able to find other members of your kind who would be able to give you help and aid.
Okay, then off she goes.
It has been raining from high heavens, so whatever clothing you have is drenched through by the time you get there. You are literally like if you were an ordinary human being, you would be shivering. It is unseasonably cold. It is unseasonably wet, particularly this evening and then the days preceding it. However, finally, you will step through the doorway, opening the shuji door, to find yourself in the inn itself. At which point, a very polite young lady kneeling at the side of the door will bow very deeply, and she will say, "Welcome, mistress, to the Inn of Blessed Respite."
I've got to go with my always Irene action, which is curtsying.
She kind of raises an eyebrow at that because it doesn't look right to her. Like,
No, I get that, but hey, hi, I'm new.
oh yeah, no, I'm just pointing out that they don't necessarily know what a curtsy is. Like, it's kind of weird to them. Continue.
That's fine. I have the outsider flaw. This is fine. And she'll say, "Good evening. I have been sent here to meet others with a similar mind."
Oh, if you would care to step through, Lord Hanzo is currently having a conversation, but I'm sure that he may be able to direct you in the correct direction.
Thank you. That's most kind. I would not wish to interrupt.
For the record, you step through the door. It's quite a large room, so you can easily enter without disrupting the conversation. But you were Bishop. Basically, we'll go back to you saying how you felt about the Tremere. Sorry, continue.
Oh yeah, he was just saying that if any Tremere dare approach the domain, it will find itself ash on the wind. To which he was called honest and forthright.
In all honesty, I will do you a small service then. as your father is an honest man. I will give you a piece of information for free. The Ventrue have already sought my aid in the coming conflict. As a matter of fact, they have asked me to excise from the mortal coil several individuals within the city, your name included.
Well, this conversation got interesting.
I see. Thank you for this information.
I have no intention of doing so. However, once again, this is war, unfortunately. Many individuals will not understand the fact that we are choosing to remain neutral, but we are indeed choosing that. He will say with us, you can sense there's a smile behind the mask, if that makes sense.
Hmm. You know, Akita is largely he's it kind of ranges from expressionless to calm, and only really changing his demeanor whenever the Tremere mentioned, at which point he looks quite dark and serious.
I'm led to understand that Butterfly Cutter, when the entity in question, this Isha, failed to draw it from its scabbard due to the interference of several noted kindred, many of them here gathered, that the blade itself and its saya became as butterflies and flew away into nothingness. That a prophecy of some semblance was uttered. These are the information that I have been given. We live in truly auspicious times.
It's apparently happened before.
I beg your pardon? That definitely raises his interest. I will say, like, his body language changes. He was very much a man who clearly had all the cards in his hand until you just pulled a flush.
Apparently it does that sometimes.
Can you care to elaborate? I will say right now that your answer might involve the give me boons, and I'll consider it.
I don't know a whole lot of details, but I can find them out.
I would pay rather handsomely for that information.
We could deal.
He will extend his hand.
Shaking hands a thing.
Yes,
Okay.
that is completely contrary to how it historically was. Yes, they used to shake hands.
Oh.
Once again, in L5R, for example, they make the whole no touchy thing a lot more extreme than it was.
Good to know. Kind of raise his head a little bit so you can see his mouth underneath the hat and put his hand out and shake it. Smiles as he shakes his hand.
I do apologize. We appear to have a new face. Even I do not know this face. That is interesting.
But I do.
He turns. Ah, then you shall have to introduce me. For the record, hey Irene, you see a face you recognize.
Yep. That is a face that she recognizes, and a face that she last saw in very interesting times.
Right?
I'm an aura perception that face.
I mean, you may.
I mean, I'm going to, so I'll get 5 successes.
How does it feel? I was gonna say, how does it feel not getting aura perception at difficulty 3 until you fucking just get all the successes?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna do the
Alright,
color
first and
thing,
most
but I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
First and most obviously, she is a vampire.
Okay.
She does have Blush of Health, though, so you wouldn't have seen that immediately.
Okay.
But I can
That's-
fit it on my shit.
Now tell me how Irene feels about life.
Also, I don't know if you actually see in her aura, but she also has a sanctity merit. I
Mm,
don't know
see
if
that
that
in the aura.
reflects in her. No, I don't think
No,
so.
no,
but
that's how
yeah.
that's a social merit, and it's based around how people perceive you. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not something supernatural inherent to you. It's purely social.
So how does Irene feel at the moment? I mean, new environment, new culture, new etiquette, which is really, really something that she will have to pick up pretty soon. So there is anticipation, curiosity.
And oh hi, there's someone I haven't seen in over 300 years.
Yeah, that's sort of like an anxious spike there. And that also reminds her of a lot of things. So sadness. Hi.
By the way, for the record, because you got 5 successes, I'm going to let that just count as your aura roll for the scene, so you can aura read everyone with the 5 successes, because, like, holy crap.
Nice. How's everyone feeling?
Evelyn is,
Hanzo,
surprised.
Hanzo is pretty much calm on calm, with a mixture of calm.
Nice.
How are the 2 others feeling?
Also pretty calm. I don't know what exactly you get out of that, besides like just mood.
Pretty much the entirety of your emotional state, including any complexities. Also, if you've dabblerized anyone in the past year or so.
I have not.
Damn it.
And yeah, if you're just calm, like you can just be calm. Like there's not really much to read into. Like if you're legitimately just, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm
he's a
good.
little bored. he just came in here to get out of the rain.
And Jason, how's Lord Bato feeling?
I would say that you can read 2 emotions quite strongly. One, first of all, is a stoic calm. The other one is a genuine curiosity because information is being offered here that he hasn't heard yet.
Cool. In that case, Irene, this individual, he's not that tall. He's taller than Hennessy, for example. He's about 5'8", but he's very, very thin. He's wearing very fine clothing. What is that in meters? It's fine. He's not that tall. He's not that tall. But he is very, very thin. He's wearing very fine clothing, and the mask that he's wearing is very, very beautifully made. He's got very ornate swords that are hanging on his hip. But he gestures for you to come towards him with a hand, like, come here.
Sure. She will approach and she will curtsy to the ground. Stay there. Her head lowered.
As that happens, there's an interesting thing for Bishop. Did you pick it up? There is a sincere flash of anger that goes through him, and you can assume why, because she didn't bow properly, and he doesn't know how what she's doing, what that is. It looks like deference, but it might also be an insult to him for not bowing correctly.
You know what? Evie is going to go ahead and also do a aura perception because she has all the aspects.
She could just got interested, if you can still read emotions. Like, he was bored, now he's interested.
Do I actually have to go, like, what did I spell this?
Akita, in which case, again, in a very flat and straightforward tone, we'll simply say to That is not how you bow. It is like so, and he will just demonstrate it towards the newcomer by giving her a not a particularly full or even half bow, but actually no, he'll give her a half bow because he doesn't know if she'll follow it explicitly or not.
I mean, she will. She has etiquette 4, so I'm gonna say that she's gonna pick up pretty quickly.
Hey,
The
Evan,
reason I'm Huh?
that is 8 successes.
It caps out at 5. You basically get all the stuff
Yep.
Bishop does. The reason that I'm not letting your etiquette proc is because you do have a specific flaw that means that it won't for a little while.
Okay, that's fine. At least she will attempt to, copy his movements. My sincerest apologies. I am not yet familiar with the proper rules here.
When she bows properly, the anger subsides very quickly, and the figure will nod, and he will say, "Ah, I am to understand in that case that you more than likely came off the barge from Nagasaki." Yes.
Indeed, my lord. I have recently arrived.
Ah.
Just this night.
I'm sorry, Lady Evelyn, you were about to introduce me.
Yes, this is Lady Irene. We met, some 300 years ago now?
Indeed.
Lady Irene of Clan.
Lasombra.
Ah. For that you have my sympathy.
Irene will just keep silent at that. She's not quite sure how to react to that.
Agitating. They have spoken about their religion both to the kine and to the kindred. This cult, Sabbat, they call it, has been disharmonizing.
I can only apologize for my, brothers and sisters. I did not come here to talk to you about my religion.
Oh. Then what purpose do you have in Kyoto?
I came here on a quest of knowledge. I wish to learn.
Interesting. What is your topic of study?
The occult.
Interesting. Well, I have garnered what information I require from you, Lord Bartow, and from you, honored sir. I thank you for both of your time. I will make sure that should you require a service, it is provided.
I'll speak to
Yes.
you later about what you're looking for.
Good. Good. You may always leave a missive for me here. I will more than likely get it in the same evening, if that is agreeable to you. Miss, I beg your pardon, your name was Irene, yes?
That is correct, my lord. My name is Irene Argyris.
My name is Hattori Hanzo. I speak for Clan Nosferatu. Allow me to welcome you to Kyoto. If you do not have a haven available to you, this place does serve that purpose for the newly arrived until they can settle themselves.
I would gladly accept the honor of staying here for a few nights.
You are currently in the presence of the son of the regent of the Cherry Blossom Throne. It is he who would handle your reception to the court. I have no doubt that you can facilitate such a meeting, Lord Acater.
I can, as you say, enable Lady Argyri's introduction to the court.
Good. In that case, I have many other duties to see to this evening. I do apologize. As I said, if you require me, a message left here will eventually reach me. Good evening. Good evening.
You know where to find me. I'll bow to him as he leaves.
Wow.
He will simply walk from the room. The Shuji door will close behind him.
So, Evelyn's son, you're acquainted with Argyri's son.
Yes, we knew each other in a place called Odessa, where I met Famoshi, your sire.
It is in that moment that I remind Saskia that
Yes.
the individual whom... And the last time you met Famoshi, what was he
Yes.
trying to do?
Oh yes, I was about to say, the moment that name gets mentioned, the anxiety kind of spikes.
You appear uneasy. He just says, kind of, again, stating it very directly towards you, Irene.
Moment, I'm a little far away from my laptop. I did say I BRB'd. Ah,
The Salubri says, "Get over here."
I'm back. I'm back. So, he said, what? Could you repeat that? Sorry.
You appear uneasy.
Ah.
Was there something about my sire that disconcerts you?
Lord Famoshi and myself have met in Odessa. However, we parted in less than ideal circumstances.
He raises an eyebrow.
Without due respect, but I would rather speak with him about this when the time comes and if he's willing to see me.
There is the smallest flicker of a smirk on Okita's face. I believe that is something that will occur with or without me. But as I said, I'll see if I can facilitate your introduction. He is currently serving as the regent in the absence of Lord Nyzen.
I see. I was not aware that he was absent. It was the name of Lord Nyzen had reached my ears, and I had hoped to meet with him.
Unfortunately, he has left this court for the time being. On this matter, I would not be able to help you.
Thank you at least for your information. That in itself is a help, indeed.
What manner of occult were you looking for? When you said you came to learn about the occult. What specifically are you looking for?
Hmm. To be honest, my interest is in the subject is rather broad, but be interested in healing.
Interesting.
Her eyebrow raise. The
Come
rest
a
of
long
his
way
body
for that.
would... Sorry.
No, I just said come a long way for that.
Indeed, and I have learned much on my way. But I have also found that during my travels that you learn best by not sticking to the things that you know.
Lord Bartow just very calmly takes out a piece of parchment and starts writing on it in Japanese. Seems he has heard something that he finds very interesting and wants to note down.
Oh, konnichiwa, darlings! Yes, he has this voice. I'm okay with this. The door opens, and there's an immediate kind of fluttering of a fan as this individual enters, bowing very deeply and with reverence to all here. This weather, so absolutely horrendous. My apologies, my lords. I did not mean to interrupt you one iota.
There is the slow head turn.
But
I didn't realize that I would be sharing an evening with the regent's darling son. My apologies, great lord. I hope that this evening is seeing you well.
Yes, it has been a rather curious night. We even have a new guest to the domain.
Oh my, and in such rags!
What's wrong with that?
Lord Bartow spends a willpower not to laugh out loud.
Excellent. My dear, my dear, my dear, my dear, what is it that you're wearing? It looks as if it was, what is it, the Youth Day, that it was savaged by a dog.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was talking to me. Sorry.
No, he's definitely talking to you.
Okay, I'm fine with this.
Ignoring the guy actually wearing rags.
I mean, this is fine, yo.
Yes, but but her rags are Gaijin rags, so they are worse.
People know me here.
It is still fine. I mean, it's okay with this. I mean, she probably doesn't look too well at her A game. So she will attempt to do the bow that was shown to her. She probably goes pretty stiff, but you know, She'll attempt to.
Oh, my dear, there's no need to be so formal with me. I'm just I'm just Nokazaki. It's so delightful.
I apologize for my clothing.
If you like, you could remove it all. I'm not saying that it would be an improvement, but I'm sure I would manage.
Yikes.
I can assure you that would most definitely not be an improvement.
I like her. Hello. For the record, for those of you who don't know, this individual is called Nokazaki Mori. He is probably the richest kindred in the city.
What's
Except-
his plan?
He's Toreador.
Figured.
At the moment,
I mean,
at the
could
moment,
that personality be anything but Toreador?
except at the moment he's having he's having one problem, and it's this little guy from the Middle East who showed up and just started questioning his monopoly on things. He was
Yes!
Yes, he comes again. Strikes again.
Hello, I am medieval Monopoly man.
I'm dying. Just so you guys know.
I
Please,
mean, I
no
swear, if Omar is coming to Kyoto, Irene is gonna have an aneurysm, probably. What the fuck?
no, Omar is here. I'm going to put over from the vampire NPC for a little while. It's fine.
Yes.
Well, at least Irene will then have one friendly face, although she's not quite sure how. Yeah. Probably friendly face.
Evelyn is a friendly face.
She's not too
But-
sure about that yet.
No, needless
She
to say,
stopped Fumoshi from killing her.
I mean, times change. It's 300 years later.
but needless to say, I tell you what, you come with Nokazaki. He'll get you a new dress. He'll get you a new kimono. He'll get you a new sandal. You will be the very envy of the Cherry Blossom District.
God, aura. What's this guy's aura right now?
Profit.
Interestingly enough, this guy, Bishop. Interestingly enough, two things. One, this guy doesn't appear as a vampire under aura sight.
Curious.
And two, he is cheerful, but also curious and. Trying to think, how would I describe the last emotional state? He is curious and also vindicated.
Uh-oh.
Interesting.
Well, if you must, you may take her, but please do not hold her. I must facilitate her introduction to the regent.
Oh, my lord, you have my word. I will not hold her too tightly.
Good luck with that.
Link.
Bato just snickers. This is hilarious for him.
Oh yeah, Evelyn is giggling.
I'm sure the good lady will appreciate that as much as I. His tone is so flat, it's kind of uncertain whether or not he's being sarcastic.
Well, in that case, it's decided. Tomorrow evening, you and I shall go to the shopping district. Or needless to say, or should I call it my district?
I am honored by your invitation, and I will gladly accept.
Oh my, excellent. But my lord, as I said, unfortunately, I have some information that you might well find intriguing. However, unfortunately, it is not free information, you understand.
Saying this to Lord Bada or Lord Akita?
Lord Akita and Lord Bato, either one of you can buy it. He doesn't care.
May I know the nature of this information?
It pertains to certain movements that are being made by certain very interesting parties.
Outside parties intending on making their way into the domain?
On that, I couldn't tell you.
Hmm.
It is suitably interesting information, I assure you.
What would you want for that information? He says quite
Oh,
frankly.
my dear Lord Bato, from you, due to your exalted pedigree, shall we say a single major boon?
I shall think on that.
And Lord Akita, for you, a minor boon and a good word put in with your father.
Akita gives this some thought. Because he is quite... he is quite straight and narrow when it comes to the nature of his word. So he spends a moment thinking about this. I shall accept your offer.
Very well then. Recently, you understand that I have ears in more mercantile and financial circles. Oh, do you mind if I sit down? It's been absolutely murder on the feet.
By all means.
Thank you. Recently, I've heard something of genuine interest. In Nagasaki, yes, there is a large shipment of gold that has been assembled in Nagasaki and is being brought to Kyoto via river barge. That in of itself is not particularly interesting. However, it is gold that was loaded onto a Portuguese ship, only to be unloaded from the Portuguese ship the next morning. The gold appeared to come from somewhere within the city, but as for where, I don't know. But they loaded it onto the ship, onto the boat in the dead of night, so as to make it appear as though the gold was unloaded from the ship the next morning. The gold itself is apparently to pay for, rather unusually, a large amount of very pure. When I say very pure, I mean refined X number of 100 times pure silver, the shipment of which is being currently kept at Kyoto and is to be returned to Nagasaki. Now, you might ask why this is of any interest to you, or why anything of that nature, but as I said, it is currently being escorted by the La Sombra from Nagasaki to Kyoto, who are masquerading as it being their supply of gold. But no such amount of gold was invested with the La Sombra in Nagasaki. And of course, there's a certain occupant in Nagasaki Castle who I'm led to understand might have use for purified silver.
Did you say he might have a use for purified silver?
Yes, who might have a use for purified silver.
Would Akita know who that person is, who this
Oh yeah,
Lasombra is?
Aishar took over Nagasaki Castle.
Akita blinks once. Why would the La Sombra deal with that man? His eyes briefly shift over to Irene before shifting back to his informant.
I frankly have no idea. Maybe he offered them something they wanted. The Gaijin, Lord Akita, they have absolutely no sense of honor. No offense.
Irene is not gonna say none taken, but she'll not comment on it.
In fact, Irene's probably like, what a Gaijin.
Yeah, probably. But you know, the thing about honor is you know that she understands.
Once again, though, I wonder what he'd want with it. It's a huge quantity of silver, almost a metric ton.
Evan,
Yes.
since the Sombra are involved and they are involved with occult stuff as well, can I maybe make an occult roll for that knowledge?
I mean, you don't really need to make a roll. Like, in magic, purified silver could have several interesting uses. Like, you don't necessarily know what it could be used for, but you know that, like, it commonly occurs in, like, unguents and ritualistic components. So he could be buying it for one big-ass ritual or something that he's doing, in theory.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, you need more information on
Yeah, that's fair.
to make a more pinpointed check,
Check.
I mean, I might need to take notes here real quick. So the OC, the gold is native to the city.
The gold. I'll explain it again. Gold was put onto a ship in Nagasaki just to be removed from the ship the next day, giving it the appearance that the shipment of gold had come in on that ship. You understand me? Then that gold was put onto a barge that is being sent to Kyoto in order to purchase a large amount of refined silver in Kyoto, which is then to be ferried back to Nagasaki.
Ah, okay.
So they're trying to make it look like the money came from not there.
Correct.
Trying to,
But very
yeah.
clearly did.
They're trying to make it seem like the money was on a Portuguese ship the whole time, and that it didn't come from anywhere. It didn't come from anywhere less pleasant.
Nagasaki's not involved. No. Yeah.
Because basically, Aishar controls Nagasaki Castle. However, the La Sombra have huge trading interests in Nagasaki, the town, which sits under Nagasaki Castle. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I see. Well, this has been, as you say, very, very interesting information. Thank you.
Once again, I have no concrete evidence to tie the shipment, the gold in question, to any individual who may or may not be in Nagasaki Castle. It's just rather coincidental, wouldn't you agree? If you stop the shipment, however, you will be directly spitting in the face of the Sombra, thus making it a complicated situation. I wish you luck.
A faint flicker of a smile again appears, just because there is a La Sombra in the room.
I mean, the La Sombra is probably more puzzled by all of this than you are, so, completely not
It's
helpful.
fine. It's fine. They're Gaijin. They can't understand words above 3 syllables. They don't actually say that, but it's just funny because it's
Don't they though?
I mean, wouldn't he though? I agree with that.
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure Villasombra and I can come to an understanding. He doesn't really elaborate on what that means.
I see. Well, if you intend to go and yes, well, that's your business. That's fine.
Very curious.
As you say, my lord, as you say.
Out of curiosity, and he directs it to the Toreador, why would you ask a major boon from me? What on earth could I possibly offer you?
Oh, darling, but as I said, you are the very quintessential nature of your own family lineage. Having a foot in the door is often handy. Would you not agree, Lord Barthair?
In that case, I would accept your offer for that information as well.
As you like, my lord. Feel free to use it as you will. Oh my! But would you look at the time? Would you look at the time? I got so many things to do, so many deals to make. I'm led to understand that there's another man in the city who thinks to be the ultimate rice merchant. Well, I shall have to show him the meaning of the term good grain, won't I?
And I have no doubt that you will.
Yes. In that case, I shall bid you good evening, my lords, my ladies, and charming foreigners. Here, take this. He'll remove a vial from the folds of his kimono, from his kimono sleeve pocket, and he hands it to Irene. It might help dampen the smell. If you'll excuse me. And he will sashay from the room. On the side note, this character was originally female, and then I decided, no, I need my over-the-top gay character, and by God, this is going to be it.
I noticed their title was Mistress in the description.
I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to keep calling them he.
You do you.
I intend to. They have so many dots of resources and so much influence mercantile.
This is why I don't leave my graveyard.
Well, because fancy gay people.
It's too fancy.
I mean, they probably get along with Evelyn pretty well then, because, stupid resources and, mercantile influence.
They also don't like Gaijin, though.
Fair.
Yeah, what are you doing there? Get out. Bugger off.
I
Go
mean,
on.
I am,
Shoo.
the wife of the regent, so, you know what, you shoo.
Yeah, why the fuck did you do that? Gaijin?
She clearly blood bound him. Free your dad. Kill her now.
Yeah, I have an obligation. Sorry. Picks up the dash.
All right.
To be fair, isn't he also not Asian?
Famoshi actually isn't. Yeah, to be fair. He has spent so much time in Asia, though. So, there you go. But, oh yeah, Bishop, that obviously your sire wasn't Asian, right?
Boo. Nah, that's fine.
But, okay. I think that's actually kind of stepping off point. So, with that in mind, I think we should say good evening. So, thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene in Memories of the Cherry Blossom